Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Rebel Religion in the News. Jerry O'Lennon, along with Pastor Alfredo Romero of Rock of Life Fellowship, my co-host, and also our guest, Bishop Peter Hansen of St. Augustine Anglican Church in downtown Chico. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I am fascinated, and we're not going to talk politics. We are not. But the journey of Donald Trump into Christianity is one of the most interesting things that I've witnessed, and it's continued. It continued this week. He was on a show with Fox News. I think Laura Ingraham is her name.
Yes.
And yes, and he was. I guess he was actually interviewed on Air Force One. I take that back. And he was asked about his faith, and he kind of laughed. He said, "I don't think I'm going to make it to heaven. I don't think I've done enough. I don't think I'm good enough to get to heaven." And I think he was kind of joking about it and trying to make light of it because he was asked about it. And it seems to me, and I know you'll correct me if I'm wrong, I hope you will, it seems to me he's halfway there. He realizes that he cannot get there on his own.
He's halfway there because Donald Trump of old never had any type of humility. I remember the interview where he said, I haven't done nothing wrong. I haven't done anything wrong. And now he's going, I'm just not good enough. Humility is a very important step to surrendering to Christ, wouldn't you say?
Oh, absolutely. It's the gateway into everything else.
Yes.
I think for someone like him, and it's not just Donald Trump. Let's talk about people like him.
Yeah.
People who are accustomed to doing things and getting results. His whole life, and like a lot of us, is working, getting things accomplished, and then enjoying the fruits of your labor. I worked at it. I dedicated my time, my effort, my money. I did everything I was supposed to. I deserved the reward. There's a mentality that happens with people like that on earth, is there not? And maybe he's one of those type of people that it's going to be difficult for him to say, I have nothing to do with my salvation. I have nothing to do with it. It's all the sacrifice of Jesus.
Well, I have nothing to do with my salvation. Might have an argument against it because there are responses that we must make to what Christ has done in his grace for us. I mean, we don't earn our salvation. That's his mistake, of course, and he needs somebody to give him a little better training on this.
Yeah.
He needs forgiveness. He needs grace. He needs God's presence in his life. And apparently he's having these experiences. His near-death experience of having been almost shot, well, actually shot in the head, but not fatally, sure keeps being refrained in some of the things that he says. You know, he thinks that God saved him so that he could do these things for America. Now he's doing it for his salvation, but his salvation is something he needs to sit still, get humble, get small, and receive as a little child instead of as the
alpha male that he is.
But the humility for Donald Trump seems to be there now. Here's the other part about this is that he has surrounded himself with what I see as true believing Christians. I mean, Mike Johnson's one of them. And I'm sure somebody's got to be out there kind of letting him know, hey, Prez, humility is great, but let me tell you what else is really great. You know, Jesus Christ surrendering him as Lord and Savior. That's the whole thing. But somebody's got to be telling him this. He's surrounded himself with a whole bunch of people that are Christian. And matter of fact, he even has, whether you believe it or not, you can go on the internet and you can check this out. But he does have prayer services. He has a committee of pastors that prays over him.
But he's just one person on this earth. There are a lot of people just like him. And I think to all of us to some degree, I mean, even myself, I constantly think, what can I do to please God, which is what we should be doing, but what can I do to please God and also, get him good so that he sees that I'm really working hard and I'm doing something and I'm trying hard. There is a mentality with some people, perhaps a personality trait where people feel like they're doers and therefore they should be rewarded because of the deeds they've done. Those kind of people generally don't make it in. And that's a sweeping statement, I know.
I'm not standing in front of the book and saying you're in, you're out.
Right.
That's a happy thing for me. I don't have to do I think God is very merciful a lot of times, and there's an awful lot of personalities. But I would say that the depiction you give is more like somebody who is really guilty guilt-ridden with their past, looking very sadly at the things that they've done wrong and they don't want to talk about. But now they compensate with all this doing and doing and doing. I'd love to sit them down and say, look, the doing is great. Be fruitful for Christ. Christ talks about fruit. But first you got to know that you're forgiven, and you didn't earn that, and you can't earn it no matter if you live 1,000 lives and build the highest buildings in the world. You're not forgiven for that. You're forgiven because Christ came to love you.
Why is it so hard for people to understand that, to think that that we are not in some way, we're responsible, I suppose, for our salvation, but we also struggle to think that we need to do things to earn it. Why is that so? Or maybe it's just me or and a handful of other people. Do you find other people, in both of you, in your churches, that talk to you about that and say, I just don't feel I've done enough. I don't feel like, do you hear that much in your church? And I mean this seriously, is your church's, parishioners more advanced than that and more theologically sound to know that that's not the case?
Oh,
Maybe that is the case.
No, there's a lot of people who've been around church for a while that still have that feeling like I'm not good enough, I haven't done enough, and they're true Christians. I mean, I know their confession of faith. It's only between them and God, of course, But I still have a lot of newer people that come in and go, you know what? We just had a young man on Sunday. I've done too much. I'm not good enough. I'll never be good enough. I've just done horrible things, and why would God love me? And we're like, the associate pastor is ministering to this young man. And a lot of people feel that they're just not good enough. So where does this not good enough come from? Well, that's the world system. In order to achieve something, you got to climb the ladder. You got to, you have to step on the little people. You got to go up. You got to be successful. I got to reach for that golden ring. I've got to strive and work hard and I'll achieve. So the world tells us we have to work for something. Jesus says,
Yes, that's exactly what I was
what you're heading for.
Which I ineffectively tried to say.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's it.
And we go to school and we get graded for our efforts and for our intelligence, and we're told we're good or bad according to the letter that we're granted.
And even in the workplace, you get a promotion, you get a raise. If you do really well, you're rewarded. Yeah.
I'm employee of the month.
Yes.
Stuff like that. Yeah.
Well, you got to lead somebody through the Beatitudes. Blessed are the poor in spirit. That's a starting place. Yes, that's when you say, I can't offer God anything for the salvation that I seek, and God goes, good. That's point one, and you just made it. What? I thought I just disqualified myself. Perfect. I like that too.
Yeah.
And blessed are they who mourn, for they shall be comforted.
Yeah, and then you've got the Pharisees standing there, and I've said this before. The story of the Pharisees, we give, look how good we are, we know the word of that, and we're not like that guy over there, and this guy's in the street, kneeling down, going, Lord, have mercy on me, I'm a sinner.
Right.
That's exactly what you reminded me of.
That's where we start, and you got to unbuild yourself. You got to empty yourself of your self-importance, and then come down to where you're hungry and thirsty for righteousness, and because you've emptied yourself of all your self-righteousness, and there's room for God. You got to have a cup that's empty in order to be filled with God.
There you go. Good analogy. Yeah, and we tell the people, look, there's what separates the truth from all the lies out there is God has grace. Every other religion is something you got to work, you got to do something, you've got to give, you got to pray 5 times, you got to do this, and God just says, look, this is a free gift. It's my grace. It's just come to me as you are, no matter where you are, no matter what you've done, and then that's the part you were saying. We have to have this humbleness, this repentance. Lord, I can't do it on my own. I realize it now. I'm done with it. I'm turning my life over to you. I confess I'm a sinner. I'm going another way. I want to go your way. Please save me, Lord. I believe in you. I believe you died, you rose again, just to give me life. It's that full consecration is what they really call. I'm laying myself out, Lord. You can have me. And it takes a lot of humility, and you got to drop all the pride.
I'm reminded of the rich young ruler who came to Christ. I want to know how to be saved, and they talked about behaviors and all these things. He said, I've followed that all my life. He says, well, one more thing you could do is sell everything you have and give it to the poor and come follow me. Wow, that's too big. I suggest, perhaps, and I'm not his judge, but Donald Trump has never had his cup empty. He's been rich all his life. He's billionaire, not millionaire. And Christ wouldn't criticize him for having. It's where he puts his value. If he can come with all his power and fiscal abilities and empty his cup and say, now fill me with yourself, Lord.
Yeah, and if for those of you that are out there that are not have an R by your name or a D or an I or Green Party or Libertarian, whatever, it's what you just said is the same for every politician,
right.
every person. It's not just Trump. Trump is just giving signals of somebody who's on a journey, like Joe Rogan is now, I believe, and Russell Brand was, and Jordan Peterson, and Kat Von Teese, and all these other people that we know have found a road to humility and realize this world offers me nothing.
The journey that back when he was a candidate, Trump, and he was going through all the court cases, that may have been the attempted assassination. Maybe that was the emptying of the cup in some ways. Maybe not necessarily the financial cup, but it emptied his cup of, maybe, I don't know, I'm just going to throw something, of ego, of being forced to really battle. I don't know, but was there some blessing that came from all of those court cases for him personally?
Well, Christ puts a lot of value in suffering, and Paul mentions that a lot too. And we don't like that part of the gospel. We'd like to be successful and happy and comforted all the time. But there is a purpose in suffering in our lives. Suffering what? I mean, suffering lack, suffering loneliness, suffering from not achieving what we'd like to, and falling short of this and that. Christ said, pick up your cross daily and follow me. He's saying, you will have suffering in this world, but be of good cheer. So did all the prophets of old, so do all the saints in heaven. You don't earn it through suffering either, but you get it by following me.
We're going to step aside. Jimmy Kimmel and his wife making some news. They're not happy because people are unhappy with them because of who they supported. And they actually invoke the name of God in this. We'll discuss that when we come back. All right, now it's Jimmy Kimmel's wife is involved in this now. She's angry all the time after losing relationships with Trump voting family members. And this is not about Donald Trump. This is just about politics in general, getting into the family. And because it goes the other way as well, there are people who are arch conservatives, strong Trump supporters, who are like upset with those on their family members who are on the left. But this is not the case here. We're talking about Kimmel and his wife. Molly McNerney revealed that she has lost relationships with some of her Trump voting family members on a podcast earlier last week. Here's some of the things that she uttered. It hurts me so much because of the personal relationship I now have where my husband is out there fighting this man, Trump. And to me, them voting for him, not voting for my husband instead, and for me and my family. And I unfortunately have kind of lost relationships with people in my family because of it. She says that her politics are no longer about Republican versus Democrat, but about family values. And it's really hard for me because I grew up believing in these Christian ideals of taking care of the sick and taking care of the poor. And I don't see that happening with this Republican Party. And so I feel like I'm kind of in a constant conflict. And I'm angry all the time, which isn't healthy at all. Of course, I'm mocking too. I shouldn't do that. But it is hard not to mock this.
Well, there's so many things wrong with that statement.
Well, the first question, and this has to be clarified, and please, I know you, because sometimes I'll get into a discussion. I don't want to say something that's incorrect. I don't think anywhere Jesus said, give your money to the Romans so that they could give it to the poor. I mean, there's no basis for that did Jesus ever say anything to that nature?
To the Romans, no. I mean,
Give it to the
he
church.
said, and give to the poor.
Right.
Help the poor will always be with you. That means they're your job. Certainly. I'd be curious to know in her complaint who cut off the relationship. She
did.
Or these Republican members of her family.
She said based from the gist of the article, it feels like
Well, that's
that it was- whatever-
I'm afraid it's a typical thing.
yeah.
I believe that at least of all the Republican people that I know, they're happy to meet with anybody.
Sure.
They're happy to have
Should be.
dinner with anybody. as long as they're not beat over the head for the whole dinner and have to endure harsh politics. Well, how about let's just talk about sports? Let's get into faith. Let's get into our family life.
Culture,
She
whatever.
talks about family. Do your family thing then. If you can't have a pleasant talk about politics, don't. But if you can't even talk to, and I hear this value bandied about a lot, you know, should you even have any relationship at all with a Republican? I mean, that what is that?
Yeah.
Can't you have people in your life who don't agree with you? My God, that's a
Yeah.
tender.
That's horrible. I can name the celebrities that I've heard say we shouldn't have anything to do with, and the politicians that said you shouldn't have anything to do with anybody that votes for Trump or has an R in front of their name, but politically. But it goes beyond politics. This isn't about, to me, and to what I believe the Word of God says, what I know it says. It's not about politics. It's about division. And the enemy has come to steal, kill, destroy, and he loves to divide people. And it's not just politics. He'll use almost anything to divide people. And that's what we need to be careful of. I mean, even Christ said it, and Abraham Lincoln requoted it. You know, a house divided itself can't stand. So we have to figure out a way as Christians, no matter what the topic is, like to do what Christ said. You know, love each other, have patience for each other, up until the point where it's really hurting us. Because then the flip is that there's parts of the Bible that says, if you can't agree with somebody and they're hurting you, you shouldn't even have dinner with them. This is 1 Corinthians 5. And so there are times where, I'll tell you, I've broken off relationships with people in my past because they just weren't a good influence for me. They brought me down, and I had to drop those relationships because they were pulling me to a place of where I was not pleasing God.
Negative all the time.
Yeah, negative all the time.
Yeah,
Thank you.
and I will tell you that when it comes to Facebook friends, when people start posting things politically on either side, I had to friend them. I just don't want to. I don't want to have to listen to it. I don't want to have to read it. That's just me. But
What,
you know,
what if the slogan MAGA didn't mean what it says usually, but what make America good again? Ask everybody in the country if you would support a statement like that. You know, they might hate you still, but I mean, make America good again. What does that mean to you?
Yeah.
yeah, anybody with a red hat. I mean, if you're a Cincinnati Reds fan and you got a red hat on, be careful.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I've got a gentleman in the church that a few people actually were kind of offended by the word MAGA when it came out, and well, I had to explain because some people out of the church, just other people I've talked to, not my church particularly, thought it meant taking people back to a time of slavery and a time of oppression,
racial superiority.
racial superiority. They thought it meant that, and we said, no, we're talking really economically. Make America great again. Make the manufacturers out of America now. Have fair wages, absolutely, and bring the manufacturing here and be strong and with military might and
Be respected in the world.
be respected in the world. Yeah, it had nothing to do with racial or any type of taking us back to the 50s and Jim Crow and all that. It has nothing to do with that. It was about the prominence that America, United States, used to have as the leader of the free world, to get back to that where prices we could afford and houses we can afford and people had the opportunity, not the right, but the opportunity to accomplish the American dream.
You know, Molly McNerney, the wife of
Jimmy Kimmel.
Jimmy Kimmel, thank you, says a couple more things, and I think we could discuss this a little bit, but she says, I personalize everything now. And when I see these terrible stories every day, I'm immediately mad at certain aunts, uncles, cousins who put him in power. That's a terrible way to live. She added that these feelings have been, quote, really hard for her to deal with, and that she wishes she could deprogram herself to make it easier. Okay, how does somebody deprogram themselves? How would someone? What kind of advice would you give Jimmy Kimmel's wife to deprogram herself, not to have these? Yeah, this is unbelievable to me. Sometimes she says, I've sent emails to family right before the election saying, I'm begging you. Here's the 10 reasons not to vote for this guy. Please don't. And I either got ignored by 90% of them or got truly insane responses from a few. It's definitely caused a strain. gosh, she's just doing this to herself, it seems to me.
Yeah. You know, they should listen to the voices that are on the left but are softer. Dave Chappelle or Bill Maher, you know, they'll be maybe politically opposed to Republican life, but they'll say, I understand why people like this guy. And they'll talk about it, and it isn't a criticism. They'll say, look, you know, he you know, they might make a funny thing about it, but I mean, Bill Maher is interesting to hear on this
Right.
subject.
Yeah, he is. Yeah, there are a lot of people that understand. Look, I mean, I have a pretty rough background and stuff like that, and I had a lot of friends in the past that were definitely not good people, and some of them go, "We like Trump because he's kind of a gangster." I mean, and I don't mean that in the bad word. I mean, you know what he says, you know what he's going to do. He doesn't bluff. He comes out and tells you the way it is. He talks to you like you were sitting around the dinner table with Uncle Donald. Man, he just tells you the way it is. There's no, exactly, cuts through everything. And after he stood up after being shot and said, fight, 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 that sold him out and said, okay, I'm in. I'm behind this guy. This guy's a warrior. He's a battler. I may not agree with everything he does, but I agree with most of the stuff he does. And so that's kind of where a lot of people I've talked to said that's why they support him.
Do you think that people just need to get off the accelerator when it comes to things political? I'm starting to feel like maybe that might start to happen at least I hope it happens between now and a year from now when we have the midterm elections, because it's going to heat up again. Every 2 years it's going to be like this. I mean, this is awful.
And in between, you know, we're sitting here at the closing of the government shutdown, and it's been horrendous, and it's causing problems. The flights are all backed up. The FAA can't supply enough air traffic controllers, and it's all politics. There was no need to do this. There was no real political need to do this, except to say we win, you know.
Yeah.
And what a thin soup victory that is.
Well, it's supposed to end today.
Today or tomorrow.
Yeah.
I want to bring up, Christmas is here, and we have about 2 minutes left in the show, and I want to touch on this just a little bit, if it's okay. I was so happy to see downtown Chico with the ice skating rink. I don't know whether...
Did they put that up already?
Yeah, they are.
Yeah, it's up already. And in fact, and here's why I think it's interesting. It's actually 40% larger in area size than the previous year.
Wow.
40% larger because they had to turn so many people away from the rink because it got too crowded during the times when it got its busiest. They couldn't let people on the rink, so they actually had to make it bigger. Wow. I just think it's and I know we usually really get upset when Christmas season gets here before Thanksgiving, but for some reason, I like seeing downtown Chico, and I know Bishop Hanson, your church is downtown Chico, so you see a lot of activity there, and it's a positive for everything. It's positive for the businesses, it's positive for the community, and the only people that don't like it are the homeless ones who have to leave the city plaza and on the outside looking in now. But other than that, it just seems to be a very festive feeling, and it puts me in a good mood.
Well, it should. And then they have the Downtown Business Association has its Christmas preview coming up a little later this month. I can't remember which Sunday it is, but it's the 23rd or something like that.
Wait, when do you guys start? We have a minute left, less than a minute. When do you start putting up Christmas decorations in your church, Christmas trees?
Next week, Sunday.
Wow.
After church, a bunch of people are going to load it up.
Christmas Eve.
Christmas Eve.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, you're a late one.
We celebrate Advent.
That's right.
Oh, that's right. Amen.
Bishop Peter Hanson of St. Augustine Anglican Church, located over on Salem Street across from Mom's Restaurant. And their service time is at 10 o'clock. If you have any questions about your faith and want to get a better relationship with the Lord, give one of them a contact them.
Yep.
Leave a comment on the website or the YouTube channel or Facebook.
So long, everybody.
They-
Peace.